What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first iteration of my vlog. I'm recording from the shred. I've got my Death Before Dishonor. It's my own gym banner. I've got figured it's the best backdrop I've got. Pretty cool. Well, I've got some of their other equipment. I've got hip band over there. Anyway, cool gym banner, and I got their stone to shoulder at the Arnold. Last time I was there, mostly because stone to shoulder is one of my best strongman events. At like 180, I got a 260 stone to my shoulder, back when not a lot of people were shouldering at that time. Shouldering is huge right now, so I'm sure many people have beaten that, even with a sandbag now, which is wild. Anyway, so week in review. This week was pretty good. Honestly, the hardest part was just not seeing a ton of visual progress. Nutritionally, I lost, or at least body weight wise, I lost about 1.1 pounds. I track my weight in macro factors, so I've got trend weight and I've got the actual scale weight. Scale weight is what was down from like 142.8, I think, and I weighed in at 141.75 this morning. So pretty darn close. I use a high capacity parcel scale, so I've got an extra digit to use. That's why it's 141.75. That last digit doesn't really matter, but I use it for strongman for making weight, so I've got that scale. But yeah, that progress was good. I'm feeling leaner. Upper body feels pretty lean. I just got that sticking fat in the upper legs, glute area, so I just got to keep working on that. Other thing I'm really wanting to get more of is a separation right here in the arm. I really want this muscle to be a lot clearer in my front double bi and my tricep and bicep to kind of differentiate more. I'm getting there. I'm not too worried about it. I've got plenty of time. My shows are October 1st, October 8th, October 15th, a couple weeks, because then I've got a vacation and an anniversaries in there. And then I'll be coming back for a couple shows in November. Those are kind of tentative. I should be doing an ANBF show. I should be doing INBF. The first one's INBF, second one's Mr. America, third one on the 15th, that's the ANBF show. That'll be a pro show, just to support Kent and that federation that I'm in pro, and the federation that allows me to do Mr. America. So excited about that. And that would be another show in November, would be ANBF as well. The other show in November would be depending on how I do in INBF, and if I try to tack on more shows to work with WNBF, we'll see. Doesn't really matter. I'm just kind of there. We'll see where I land. But yeah, that's nutrition, a little bit of summary for what I'm doing. Other than that, kind of the, let's see, training-wise, last week was good. I've still got a fair amount of energy, pretty low in body weight. I am pretty depleted, just low calories in general for me. I generally maintain on really high calories. Right now I'm on pretty low calories, at least for myself. Eating at about 1900, so just shy of 2000. It might go lower, might not. You can definitely tell my expenditure is plummeting. I'll share the expenditure graph for macro factor in my stories sometime tomorrow after I upload this, so you can just take a look at all the changes that I've got, which has been from about basically 3,400 calories for my daily expenditure down to 2,500 is where my expenditure is at now. No big deal. Anyway, so energy is actually still pretty high. You can tell I'm a pretty high energy person to begin with, so that has been nice. A couple weeks ago I had a lot of lethargy, and that week was rough, but nutritionally nothing changed since that week. My activity's back up. I'm going on my morning walks. I'm going on like walks during lunch, shit like that. So just trying to keep active. The actual routine has been pretty good. I can go into more detail on what my training routine looks like. I post a lot of it on Instagram, but yeah, if anyone wonders, I can post more about what my training looks like and how I like to structure my load, my reps, my resistance. Right now my programming is from Cliff, working with Cliff Wilson. He's running my programming and nutrition, so I'm just following that, basically because I want to work with a coach at that level to understand how they work with with clients and get to understand that process a little bit better. And while I did really well in my pro show last year, or not last year, in 2019, I'm competing at a higher level as a pro now. I want to compete at a higher level again in INBF and see where I can go this season. I mean, I'll be competing in the same stage as some really high-level people on Mr. America. So the other short class, I imagine there'll be quite a few of us. And I just thought, fuck it, I'll hire a coach. I hired what I consider to be one of the best coaches in the world for natural bodybuilding, so that'll be cool. But I also wanted to have an impartial eye to tell me when to keep digging. I got pretty lean last time. I got winning an amateur show lean. At my show, I was the leanest person there, including the two pros that were there, at least for bodybuilding. That was cool. They specifically told me that themselves. I wouldn't normally just say, hey, but that was something that those two pros actually mentioned to me backstage, and that was kind of an honor. That's really cool. So anyway, this time, instead of bringing a pro physique to an amateur show, I want to bring world-class physique to pro and world shows. So that's what I've got, and so I hired a coach to do that, and I trust the process. So long story short, that's what my programming looks right now. It's not too far from how I would program myself for bodybuilding. I'm doing a little bit less legs. I'm doing legs 1 day a week, which is fine. But I've got large leg development from strongman. I've got delt development is probably my other strength, mostly from strongman as well, doing a lot of overhead pressing and being basically a shoulder specialist for strongman. I mean, I'm a bantamweight, so I'm 140 lean. I can compete in the 150 class. I've competed in the 175 class. I've competed in 181 and under 231. All of those classes, varying body weights. Never really weighed 140 through all of those. But with the same amount of lean mass, my overhead press has been really good. So American record in log press for 70 kilograms for static monsters. That's 245-pound overhead press. I think I'm like 7 pounds away from the world record. I think Dan, can't remember his last name, has the world record. I think in a year or two I'll make another run at that. Probably, I wanted to make sure he's competing when I take another run at that, but bodybuilding season's kind of where I'm at right now. Other than that, yeah, mood this last week has been fantastic. I've had, troubles here and there when I'm getting a little bit hangry and have to consciously pay attention to how I'm treating the people around me, and also trying to make sure I don't overwhelm my coworkers, my friends, and my family with literally talking about bodybuilding all day. It's most of what I think about when I'm not thinking about work or thinking about the active things I'm engaging in. It's spinning through different bodybuilding topics, training, nutrition, focusing on how to continue my plan forward, and how I would apply this to future clients and shit like that. I'm just so hyper focused, which is how I am as an athlete in general. It's just, it's how I run. I'm extremely passionate about whatever particular goals I'm at, so I drive pretty just directed towards them. I don't really take detours on any of the goals, so it's something that's led to a lot of success for myself. That's kind of that. I really have no major complaints in any of those departments, but I am pretty lean, so I'm at probably slightly leaner than I was at my last contest, and I've got 8-ish weeks for Mr. America left, so I've got several pounds left to lose. Like I said, I've got striations in the legs and glutes that I still need to achieve, so there's definitely more digging, but we'll see how that works out. Check-in day is today with Cliff. Well, for all of you watching, it's yesterday. I'm recording this on Mondays, which is when I have my morning free time. And I've got a lot longer because I don't go to work until a good hour and a half later, so that's it. What am I doing differently in this prep than last prep? One, I hired a coach. That is kind of the big thing. Nutritionally, I'm taking similar approaches. There's not a big difference between Cliff's approach and mine at this moment. My protein is higher. Normally I do 0.8 grams per pound of body weight intake for protein. So for me, at about 140 pounds, starting at about 158, I normally set that initial target at like 120, 130 grams of protein per day. With Cliff, it's much higher. So that is basically 200 grams of protein per day, except for refeed day, which is 190 for my body weight. Other than that, carbs are a little bit lower as well, just intake is lower, so I'm at a more aggressive rate. And so I'm taking in about 165 grams of carbs most weekdays, except for my refeed day, which is 295 grams. So roughly 1,900, maybe closer to 2,000, 1,900 to 2,000 calories per day, with my refeed day being about 25 to 2,600. Interestingly enough, when I first started with Glyph, that number was really low compared to my expenditure. So like I dropped weight pretty quickly for the first 2, maybe 3 weeks, and then my expenditure immediately matched that number. So right now my expenditure is at about 2,500, 2,600. I mentioned that a little bit earlier. Now those two match. And I'm losing weight about 1.0 to 1.1 pounds per week, which is cool. Training, basically I'm just doing bodybuilding training again. Not a lot of big changes there. I think the biggest changes are going to be in peak week. I had a very, very conservative approach to my peak week last year. I did something similar to Eric Helm's recommendation from a YouTube video that he had. It was a sort of video lecture with like a blue table about what your refeed days look like. You do like 110% of that, 150%, and that was I think a front load version. I assume I'll be doing a back load. We haven't talked about it specifically, but I was very flat and depleted still for my last show. So, well, I'm not still, but with that peak, I didn't really get the fullness that I would have wanted for that show, and I would have changed things up this time anyway and been much more aggressive. And I assume I'll be much more aggressive this time. And I have 3 shows in a row, so I've got 3 tests to approach, different contests, and I should be ready a little bit early and be able to test some protocols a little bit early and go into those shows with calories up. Last time I dieted all the way to the week of the show, and at that time I was like, that's as far as I'm going to go, dietary-wise, cutting down. I got to about 144 pounds. And then at that point I brought myself to maintenance. I depleted for a week at maintenance calories, so fat and protein were high, carbs were low. And then that front-loading peak, I raised carbs up a little bit. I think I was far too conservative with that approach. But those are the big differences. So I guess to review that real quick, I hired a coach. My calories are lower, and I'm coming in much lower weight earlier, giving myself to come back up in calories if I need to, and then I'm going to take a more aggressive approach to peaking. But I'm going to be a lot leaner as well, so the risks involved with a more aggressive peak are arguably lower, depending on how you kind of view it. But I know I respond really well to very aggressive carbs. So yeah, that's it. I'm at 13, 14 minutes. I'm not going to really add in another miscellaneous topic about what my training is like, or kind of my view on reps in reserve, things like that. But if any of you have any questions you want me to kind of cover, I think next time I'm going to limit my kind of like week review, my vlog, down to 5 to 7 minutes, and spend another 5 to 7 minutes talking about whatever it is people are interested in, if I even get a topic. If no one bothers to mention anything, I'll make something up and pretend I have an audience. That's what I'll do. But yeah, that's where I'm at. This won't actually include any physique updates. I'm not really going to be doing any flexing in these, at least not until my first show. Mostly because, I don't know, I want to kind of be a sleeper. I want people to be surprised what they see on stage. Any hints of my physique they can get from when I'm doing pull-ups up on this bar, that bar, without a shirt. That's kind of the closest you'll get, or at least my training in general. I generally don't. What the hell? I don't know why bother editing this too much, so you get to enjoy that floppy camera. But yeah, no physique updates. It's just going to be social and whatnot. After October 1st, I will be doing physique updates on Instagram for the rest of my prep. But like I said, I kind of want to be a sleeper for this one. People maybe not see me coming. I don't think anyone really knows who I am, to be honest. So it'd be cool to see if some of the bigger names on Mr. America are like, who the fuck's this guy? He's actually alright. I had no idea who he was. I think that'd be fun. So that's kind of the approach I'm taking this year. But at least I'll talk to people and let y'all know. So, signing out. Bye.